Civilizations rise and fall, but Baba remains you. And last time I completed the Deep Forest, but I didn't quite finish every level inside of it. There was one that, regardless of how much brain power I was throwing at it, it was just not happening. The Skull House. And in the previous comment section, I got a whole lot of advice on what I could possibly do. Probably the most prevailing idea was that, yeah, hey, the text is floating, why not just push it over the skulls? Unfortunately, does not work. Yeah, if I could do that, it would just be as easy as kind of like, you know, pushing key up here and replacing stop or something so that the skulls and doors are all keys. But unfortunately, stop as an action is a really comprehensive action. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're pushing, if you're using shift, if you're like doing all kinds of shenanigans, it will stop everything. It's a comprehensive is pretty much the best way to put it, which is unfortunate. So even though that one didn't work, other advice that I got is just straight up the solution to the puzzle. I mean, so let's just do that right now. As much as I kind of want to be like, hey guys, don't tell me the solution to the puzzle, I want to figure it out myself. It's like, come on. This one was weird and difficult to figure it out, so try again. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit appreciative of that. I did have people kind of informing me exactly what I'm supposed to do. Because although I got close last time with the key is rock is Baba, where you like transform it, apparently it's even simpler than that, because if you try to turn an object into two objects at the same time, it works. Like, it actually works. I was always under the impression that it's like, one object equals one object, and you can't really like turn it into multiple objects unless you have the has keyword. But nah, as it turns out, it's entirely possible to do it like this. Something that I definitely did not see coming. So there you go. That is, much like I was saying last time, that is important knowledge to know in the future, because that is probably going to be coming up in some of the later puzzles, and now I know that it's actually you can create as many objects as you want as long as you have the right keywords next to each other. Interesting and worrying that I'm going to have to eventually use that. But anyway, that is the Deep Forest, 100% complete now. Finally continuing on the 100% completion run that I want to do. And this time, Baba somehow learns how to use a rocket. I don't know, maybe he just pushed operate rocket in front of himself and we're going into space. Sure, this little sheep thing is obviously prepared for the harshness and everything from space. Why not? I don't know. All right, so space, and the first new thing here is that we get a new keyword, empty. So what is empty? Well, pretty much if something is not occupied by a space, now that is represented by that keyword, basically. A weird concept, because that means that, like, if you change it into something else, it just becomes something else. Which means that it can be, like, dangerous to use to a certain extent. But you can also do some pretty fun, nonsensical stuff with it. For example, erasing yourself from existence. Good stuff, good stuff. Not really what I want to do here, though. However, the ability to erase stuff from existence obviously kind of just gives a pretty simple solution to this puzzle. Get rid of the belts that are in my way. And while that is a fine solution, that's not the solution that I want to go for, because that's not the fun one. This is an object that is difficult to explain, pretty much, because it's that you have to understand that nothing is what, like, nothing is an object, and nothing works as long as it's not on another object. It is something that is better experienced than actually said. Hooray! No. Try again. All right, get rid of them doors, and just want to point out in the upper left corner here, Annie is best? I don't know. I don't even know what best means. She's kind of flashing like as if she were a gold flag or something, but I don't think that actually works that way. Anyway, we'll check in just a second, as I think you know what's coming here. Yep, and I can go right. Does not count as a win condition. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, you can see every single object. Now, myself. And unfortunately, as great as that is and everything, that's not the way you want to do that, because I'm just going to push Baba is you out of the way here. In fact, isn't it? And yeah, the entire difficulty with this whole selection is that you need to make sure that you don't accidentally make Baba not you. Lonely Flag, not anymore with the amount of Babas in there. Babas are you. Alright, let's just restart that right now. Anyway, empty is Baba, and as soon as I walk off the space, it becomes empty. Then it becomes Baba. And unfortunately, Baba is stop, which is irritating. So the solution to the puzzle here is... Wait, one more. Alright, so now with rock being empty, I got a little Baba in the upper right corner, and we're gonna try to hopefully get rid of empty as Baba. There we go. I don't need that many Babas up there, at least as of right now. So we can just go change up this and over here. Yeah, I mean, when you're just manipulating empty spaces, it's actually pretty easy to figure out. It becomes when, like, if you're just trying to fill the empty space with something, that's one thing. If you are trying to, like, take control of an empty space, that's where it becomes weirder. Because as soon as that space hits an actual object, it is no longer empty. Oh, it's such a... I mean, it's fitting for the space level, certainly, but it's also such a very strange concept to try to explain. Oh, yes, new keyword here, or new action here, key is fall. The falling doesn't really have physics, it just, as soon as you push it off, it goes to the next stopping object at the bottom of the screen. So please hold my key. Key is being held. Again, just do this sort of shenanigan. Not that far. And there you go. Very simple little level to kind of introduce you to a platformer game concept, which is kind of unusual, but at the same time, sure, why not? And obviously, if key is you still have the whole falling mechanic. Pretty much, I would say that you want to try to avoid any object being fall and you at the same time, because that causes some unusual interactions in the sense that it's very easy to trap yourself. Horror story. Not of the American style, because we're in space. Should be pretty obvious what you're doing here. I am empty. That pretty much means that you can move around. It is very difficult to explain, but that's the solution. I mean, you can still push objects and everything like that, but you pretty much, like, aren't a real object, and the second that you hit an object, you stop existing. Except as long as there's an empty object, you're still there. It's weird. And that title, and the whole idea of empty is you just reminds me a lot of You Are Empty, which is a very old, weird, what was it, first-person shooter about, like, set in the Soviet Union? Which, man, that was a weird game. Never actually played it myself. I just thought that name was crazy enough that I had to look up something about it. Anywho. Kind of jumping into the solution before I'm even, like, explaining what is going on. Okay, so we got two Babas here. We got a star holding some dust, and we got a moon, which is fall. Can make that moon fall, but as soon as it's down here, kind of can't really do much of anything with it, especially because I can't get rid of its fall status regardless. So cloud is stop. I mean, if I could make, say, Baba stop, that would be one thing. I could get the moon on top of Baba and kind of like carry it around, but can't really do that if it's already fallen off of the moon there. However, if I do something like Let's get this over a little bit here. Then actually let's grab this is just to be extra safe. So then I only need to push it over a single space here. All right, let's get these babas a little bit closer together. And that'll do it. Well, line them up, and there we go. All right, so now Baba has the moon there. Just got to get it to be pushed into that star, and oh wait, the second that you move right or left, the moon immediately falls. So while that is a good idea, and that's kind of how I approached the puzzle in the first place, not actually how you want to do it. You do want to use this is, just because, well, that makes it so that what you can do is you can take your two babas and make sure that the cloud remains stop. And then, now I don't need to have that moon falling at the same time that it's being pushed with some babas. So we can just get you on top of there, go up, and there. Now we got a little, well, at least a push to the left machine. A push upwards and a push to the left. Well, up and down, and then to the left. Making it a pretty easy puzzle to solve, but it does kind of take a little bit of... experimentation to figure out how you can get that cloud to still be stop, and then get Baba to be stop at the same time. Oh, trio. Good stuff. Alright, so we got me is push, and your first inclination is going to be... yeah, no. Good try, but no. So we'll also make a KK push just to make sure that he can continue to be supported on top of... I guess that's RV Tekari? Like, it's me. I'm definitely not some sort of weird purple blob. And I can make him move if I want to. Kind of. I can make KK move. Stop doing that. Alright, so I can push these guys upwards. Now, since Skull is defeat, getting the moving object kind of through that area is going to be of tantamount importance. And also, if these guys are both, kind of being supported, it's like you can push that move on top of there, and then KK will still continue being on a solid object, so you can sort of get them in the correct position to actually move to the right. And here we go. Now it's like, what is it? Now that they're past the gate, what do you actually do? Like, what's the point here? Well, it's actually very simple, because as you can see in the bottom left corner, Skull is defeat, and it's like, all I need is Skull to not be defeat, and I can easily make that work. And although it might seem a little bit like, well, how are you supposed to get that out of the way? It's, like, super simple. You just need to let them kind of get over there, and wait, I need them as moving. Just let KK continue going in that direction. Because if he just walks off the edge normally, if he just walks from here a couple over to the right, he's going to get right into that little pit there and be in an unwinnable position. But if you can get him to turn around by being on top of Tekari there, then suddenly, there you go. That's all you need to do. It's a level that looks more complicated than it actually is, which I feel like is the entire theme of the space area here, of ye olde rocket trip. Bottleneck. And of course, being on this side, we're back to using empty again. Right side is fall, which makes sense, you know, space, gravity, etc. Left side is all about manipulating empty. And this is a strange puzzle, but I'll get to exactly like why that is pretty soon. Alright, so the big gimmick here is that if you push this on there, then Skull's going to be defeat. And obviously, regardless of how fast you move after pushing that on there, you do not have enough turns to get over here before that Skull becomes defeat. So you gotta figure out how to push this thing at a distance. And there is a way you could do that. You know, hey, line up the stars, line up all of the text. It's like you can get some good distance there. Then still not enough, though. No, obviously you're going to have to use empty. You're given the keyword empty for a reason. And I mean, technically, this entire line right here is empty. So, I mean, you know, all you got to do is cha-cha-cha. And get that star out of the way. And bam. Push the entire invisible line of empty. And the funny thing is that as soon as empty hits the shift block, it stops being empty, so that you can technically push this as much as you want. Because the empty is destroyed. I mean, you can think of the empty as being destroyed as soon as it hits that shift block. So, oh wait, no. Empty is still pushed, and empty is on the other side of this is. See, you're also given that. You're also given the star for a reason, because then you can make it so that I can push that is out of the way, because that's no longer empty. Empty is a difficult concept to explain. Bam, push forward, and then empty is no longer pushed, so I can just move right through it here. And the whole stars defeat thing, I don't know. But it's like, man, yeah, it's manipulating it so that the empty is not empty, but is an object, so that you can move through it, because you can't move through empty. Sort of getting what I'm saying here? Alright, just gonna restart this one because I completely forgot exactly what I was doing. Anyway, so we got KK. He's fall. And that's obviously going to be the entire reason why this level is called platformer. Got a couple objects here that you can push that he could fall onto. Although the one that you would like to push, the key, which is open, is not pushable. And I can't really make a key open and push at the same time, so that's not going to happen. However, because KK is pushable in the way that he is, what I can do is perhaps just at the end of this level do this, and I just have to get KK to walk all the way over to the right and down into here, and he'll open the door. However, that's where the whole difficulty of this level comes from. You do have a certain ability to just kind of have KK just get over here pretty easily with the text. However, that's only so useful due to the fact that the ice melts text like that. And if you screw up at any point in time, KK falls right to the bottom here. So what do you actually do? Well, first off, having two pushable objects is pretty useful, but that's not all that useful when they're different things, so there we go. Because K is not going to be used for anything. There's no reason to have them be different objects right now. So now, with that kind of out of the way, just need to there we go. And these objects will be used to kind of do what the text can't and get pushed across here. However, first off, what I'm going to need to do is kind of get all these keys lined up so I can actually get that key on the lower level. And by that, I mean maybe not get pushed in a way where I can't actually touch it without getting defeated. There we go. And there we are. And there. Now all I need to do is have the text kind of get in the right position, and I should be able to push KK right over there. UFO is kind of a completely useless word at this point, so I probably could have used that to... Try again. Probably could have used that as something to push the other key downwards, but... oh well, didn't, basically. Right, UFO doesn't really matter, so I can just do that, and Oh wait, that key's not low enough. Ah, crap. Yeah, in the first place. And there we go. All right. And now pretty much just going to make sure that I have all of the keywords hardy har har that I need to be able to push everything back upwards. Because all I need right now is to make KK to be open, and that will solve the level for me, essentially. Let's push him onto that door just to be sure. So close, but maybe if I kind of not like completely screw up how I did the words here and made them all kind of in the same row. All I need at this point is that is. And the only thing I should need to do that is to get one keyword down there a little bit more. So, for example, there we are. Doop doop, and we're good. Kind of difficult maneuvering around these objects sometimes, but hey, when you get it, you got it. And then you're done. Platformer is one that's a little bit more involved than some of the other levels. I wouldn't really say it's any more difficult, but it is just kind of a little bit frustrating to do to a certain extent. Star is fall and push. Well, the level is called The Pit, so going to definitely be using that here. And that is going to require me to get this star falling downwards here. Not like that. Try that one again. And push this one just one over, because this will get it into the pit like that. Bam. And what do I do now? Well, the door is sync, so even if I made the star U, which I can, and it's no longer fall, it's like I kind of still need to, you know, make it so that there's more stuff kind of happening there. And the easiest way to do this, actually, is to make sure that one of the pieces of text is down there. Because the thing is, as difficult as it can kind of be to work with sync, it is not really a big deal to... As long as you have the... As long as you have a text down there, and the text is not float, which thankfully the text in this level is not float, it's all you need to kind of... Oh wait, did I push the is down there? I didn't mean that. I meant to put the other and. Because the thing is, as nice as having fall is to kind of make sure that the star is falling as fast as possible, that's not really all that necessary. I can also just push the star down a little bit. Actually, I don't even need that. I can just do you. It's like, yeah, fall is more of a suggestion than anything else. And there we go. Nice try, Tekari, but you should have made the text float if you didn't want me to do it like this. So used to having that happen in every one of the other levels that it's sometimes easy to forget just how exactly that works. Alright, well, you should have seen this one coming. You being fall is not... You can't really do too much in a level with that in particular. However, text being fall, you can. So star is push. You can just get you out of the way immediately here. And then... Dust is defeat. Dust cannot be transformed to anything else. Star is defeat, but that doesn't matter as long as I got star as push. So the obvious order of events here is going to be that I need to not accidentally turn the moon into dust, but make it so that I can get it so that dust is weak. Which can do easy as that. Bam. However, I can't really clear these ones out yet because I need to be able to get out of there. So that shift is going to be not very useful. And in fact, regardless of how I push that dust over, it is not going to be in the order that I need it to be. Got to have that is on the bottom. And then everything else will literally fall into place. Alright. Since I'm going to eventually be pushing these into that pit underneath the moon, I need to do it backwards because then the moon's going to fall first, and then is going to fall second, and then win is going to fall third, making it the win condition. I do need an is here, so I'm just going to borrow this since I'm not really going to be doing anything more with that star after all. And that should do it, I do believe. Clever little puzzle. Yeah, there we go. Clever little puzzle, but there's only so many things you can do with words the way they are. Which is, of course, why we have the extra base right entirely around that again. Oh, boy. Heavy cloud, although the cloud is not actually heavy here. Alright, start out the same sort of deal, because I'm going to eventually need to be pushing that star around to get things kind of working here. And although you might think that it's just like making dust is weak down here where the rocket is, again, would be the solution, it is not, because you got this extra little lip here that basically means that if you do exactly what I said, dupe and dupe, you can't push these things out of, well, can't push them out of there if you do that, because yeah. So that is not the solution this time. However, I do want dust to be weak still. So I can easily just do, say, dupe. Well, not quite you, but... well, not moon is dust either. Oh, man, I was forgetting about how to do this. Do that, and there. A little bit weird way to do it, but hey, it's functional, and now I have access to the star. Alright, so, now that I got access to the star, something that I can do is lift up text, like this. Raise it to the rafters, so that it can finally meet its resting spot just like out of here somewhere, because I don't need weak anymore. The dust that I wanted to be destroyed has been destroyed. And there. Get out of here, weak. Your services are no longer required. And you might say, wait a second though, but there's dust down here still. It's like, what are you gonna do with that? Well, it's true. Dust is still defeat, and I can't really do anything about that. I mean, it is a fact of life. It is impossible to get around regardless of what I want to do with that whole thing. However, there is still some stuff I can do with it. For example, making moon is win will be something. I mean, that's useful to a certain extent, but not in that way. I mean, pretty much that means right now that I can make the win condition pretty much at any point in time that I want to. And indeed, I'm going to do that right here. But first, there's no reason that I have to push it off at this level. I can just do it like, doop. There we go. Because moon doesn't have to necessarily be win right now. Nor do I want dust to be win, because win and defeat, defeat takes precedence over win. Yeah, the entire idea of, like, raising words up to the rafters becomes very important right now. Because as it might seem like all I really need to do is just kind of get this stuff out of the way, blah, 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 you know, get everything working like that. It's like that does not actually work because I can't push the star out of there. And pretty much if that the star letters are sitting in the corner, well, that's not really going to be useful in any way. So get dust out of here so I can actually show that off. And now it's like, for example, if I start pushing stuff down here, yeah, it's not really making a complete sentence like it was in the last level, which is frustrating. However, I don't need to do that at all anyway, because now that I got dust raised up to the rafters, I just make a push. All I need to do is get that star out of the way, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same puzzle in a lot of ways, but you just have to reverse kind of where stuff is. Like where Dust is Win was previously, now Moon is Win. Or when Dust was weak, now Moon is Win. And you got to think about how you can sort of like shift around letters without having them fall directly onto the bottom there. Such a strange way to do it, but hey. And I'm back with Guardians, 48 hours after that previous recording, because as I spent, like 20, 30 minutes trying to figure out, apparently a patch of the game had actually completely broken this level. So even though I knew what the solution was, I couldn't actually perform it. And I was thinking that there might have been something alternate, different that I need to do, but no, the developer actually said on the Steam forums, whoops, sorry, broke that level. It is fixed now, so I'm gonna continue right from that point here with my most favorite mechanic ever, pull, because as we learned back in Salvage in the Deep Forest, I definitely can't do anything in this game without accidentally pulling every object possible around with me. But hey, as long as I kind of line things up correctly, it won't be too bad. Because this is, much like a lot of the other levels in this general area, all about manipulating empty space in the best way that you can. And kind of getting that to work for you rather than against you, like pull. Like pull always does to me. Alright, enough pulling ice. So naturally, I'm sure you've probably guessed as of right now, the big thing with pulling ice over here is to make sure that some areas are not going to be affected when I eventually have to make empty to be pull, as well as text, because that win up there is currently inaccessible. Originally, when I started up this level, kind of getting... Let's get a little bit of a text is pull action over here. My original idea when I was doing this level was that maybe if I got text is pull and sort of like yanked it in here, then like yanked it out one by one, sort of interrupting the order in which these UFOs were working, then it's like I might have been able to just like, you know, turn by turn narrowly avoid getting hit by the UFOs and getting defeated, run up there, and then I guess do nothing with the win, because as you can see, the win is sort of in its own world, in a certain way. You can't really do too much with it. Oh, wait, I am actually going to need to do a little bit more ice pulling, which is great. Love it. All right. Just need to... I don't know, this'll do it. Yeah, this'll be fine. One more just for good measure. Let's just do that real quick, because I completely forgot that I kind of needed to not have ice be here. But yes, so now I have kind of a working area. I got all this ice over here to sort of screw around with. And now all I need to do is line it up so text is pull and empty is pull. And then we're gonna have a fun time. That should do it. So, can't walk out of the ice right now. But I did kind of create like a little area for myself to be able to pull all of this empty. And with text also being pull, and as soon as I pull the as soon as I pull the empty onto the, as soon as I pull that empty onto the ice, it suddenly becomes not empty, and then again, empty is still a weird concept to try to even understand. But yeah, when I pull that the empty space onto the ice, then it suddenly no longer becomes empty and just disappears into the aether, which is itself. Yeah. Level 13, final level of the space world. It's Skyhold, which is a silly name. This, I guess, technically we're in the sky. Is there a place that is more sky than space itself, after all? Okay, pretty simple concept being put up here. So we got a sinking water, got a box that has a key a door that needs a key, and then I just gotta get to that flag. So the natural assumption, first off, is that I need to somehow get to the box or push around the box. Text is floating here, so to be able to get it into that water. But that is a complete red herring. And in fact, the easiest way to do stuff is to just get rid of that water entirely, because I'm not going to need it for anything. Yeah, it's interesting that Baba, I think I haven't played a whole ton of puzzle games, but I think that this is maybe the only one that I've seen use like red herrings a lot, where it introduces the water, makes you think that you're going to have to push the box into it, but that's not what you're actually supposed to do. I guess it's because this game has such ridiculously strict rules and things you have to do to kind of like have that work. Because otherwise, you know, in like a more traditional sort of puzzle game, like a point-and-click adventure or something like that, you wouldn't really know. It's just like you couldn't tell a red herring from an actual puzzle solution. Anyway, this is all a way to say that Skyhold is not actually just the name of the level describing like where you're at. It's also saying that the sky holds something. Specifically, with the way that I kind of have everything worked here, now the sky has a key. But to get to that key, I need to somehow destroy a panel of sky. And when you interact a shut object with an open object, that destroys both objects. And one of those objects is an empty object. So when I push this box, it spawns a key. It's weird. Yeah, that's right. I destroyed an empty space to create a key. I destroyed nothing to create something. The conservation of mass here is not functional. I mean, this is Baba Is You after all, so that should come as no surprise. But that's a clever little level where you have to kind of understand that. You have to kind of understand that both objects are destroyed when open and closed interact, and that includes objects that are technically not objects, that don't exist. Very, very strange. So, next time, we're going into the flower garden, which I will start right now say there is one level in there that I have no idea how to complete. Specifically, it's Extra 1, if you want to drop some hints down in the comments section. I'm not just saying that because I'm going crazy trying to solve it, but, you know, if you're feeling charitable. However, before the end of the episode here, A Way Out has also been changed up a little bit. It's now slightly different and slightly less ridiculous red herring-y. So there's no longer the box, no longer the skulls, and as I kind of pointed out earlier, it was just something that didn't really require many extra steps to take to get, and now it's just kind of out in the open. However, big difference here is that no longer able to have KK move into this area to be able to go down and push the big long trail of stuff that I had there before. So instead, there is actually going to be some use with this whole area over here. And what I thought was originally a red herring, you know, being able to push the belt as shift thing. Now, this whole little divot in this area, the belt being able to be pushed like that, active, inactive, does actually have a meaning. So that now when I put KK into move here, he's going to push that belt up and make it reactive again. Which will be helpful, but not for right now. Aside from that, concept is still basically the same thing. I'm going to be pushing down. I'm going to be like trying to get rock is push in any way possible. It's just going to be slightly different in the way that I actually approach doing it. Okay, I just realized that I was stupid here. All I need to do is just go push this over because you can walk out from this area. The belts are not actually active at this point in time. Duh, you idiot. Okay, let's go get KK moving here and finish up the level. Because leaving that one piece of ice there, can just walk right through, etc., and so on. And let's just finish the level, not go through the whole rigmarole of the ending. All right. Yeah, I guess there was just too many alternate ways to kind of, like unexpected ways to kind of solve that level, so had to be changed up a little bit. Oh yes, and next time also going to be finally opening up this gate and seeing what's behind there. Trust me when I say it's something interesting. Also, give me the solution to Flower Garden Extra 1.